We are. Alright, so hello everyone and welcome back to Factorio. So let's click resume and get back into it. Now, when I had left off, we were working on building space platforms. So we were up here staring at this stuff, although let's get you going back to Gleba just so that can happen in the background. We do need more agricultural science. Alright, so what I had done was I had made this setup. Now, is this actually what I want to be doing? I think I might have changed my mind on this. So, let's see here. The problem with this is that... how do I explain this? So these output belts, they use one side of the belt per each ingredient, which is kind of slow for some of the things that we might want. And also, I'm not sure that this ratio is exactly what I want to have. Like, this produces 2 iron ore. I guess I don't need that much. Alright, but yeah, so I'm not sure I want this to be the ratio that we have. I think we need to leave that to be customizable. And so let's take all that out. Take all that stuff out. And just replace those belts being like that for now. So let's try to redesign this in a more helpful way. So we're still gonna want to do like a batch of a couple crushers, but this time they're all going to be the same recipe, I think. So we're gonna do 4 crushers of this recipe, and then they will output to just 3 belts as previously. So, step 1 is still going to be to get the loop back going. Now let's get the input belt set up like that. And then it is going to want to merge up with all of these guys. So let's see if we can work out 3 belts here. So we're going to need to go out a little bit to leave room. And then if we just go like this, if we just go like that, and then have that loop back up to there, then these can go out like this. And actually we can... this should still work, I think. And then that belt goes around that way. So I think that will output onto that, and can I test that real quick? So if I just go down here to somewhere. Alright, so if I just have like that, and and then it outputs like so. The drones are going to have to show up with those belts. And will that output onto this underground belt? It will. Alright, cool. So let's just get that replaced. So yeah, that does work the way I expect it to. And now we can just dismantle all that and get that stone flowing again. So, if we do this, then it should work. And then we can just do something like that and get that output. And now we have, maybe, assuming this works, which is a bit of an assumption, then we will have our outputs onto two separate things, and then we would need to filter these to... Actually, is that probably... That's probably just... There's probably a much easier way of doing this. So if I take all those out, and I clear out your filters... So, how much output is this total? This is a total of like 2.8 output each. This can handle like 45. Alright, so what if we just do that? What are we losing on Novice? Just some laser turrets. So if these all output to the same belt, and then we just filter it out. Although that last one might need to be there still. So we're just going to output priority to filter... Where are the space rocks? Yeah, so you get filtered out that way. And can loop back. Then the copper can get filtered out this way. And then the iron just goes through the last bit. So then we have that going forwards. And this does hurt the ability of it to tile, because that doesn't quite work. Okay, so let's see if we can figure out just a better way of doing it. So if you turn down there... Actually, if we have these guys go in towards the center like that, and I don't know if that'll work or not, because I can't remember which side these default to, but that will be good. And then we can do our split here. So we get our output priority of space rocks going that way. And so that loops around and back in. And this gets an input priority to accept that loop. And then we have this one, which is output priority either one for copper, and then the iron would go out the remaining bit. So this would... Then we would just, I guess, have this go out. We can actually shove this whole thing up one. I did not mean to remove that from my hotbar. I meant to select it. So if we put that one in there and put that one in there, then that's a little bit more space efficient. And then, if we then take that space and we just do something like that, and actually wait, no, we need to do this the same way we did the other one. So you need to go out to there maybe, so that you can then come through the center. Alright. Does this work if we expand these out? No, because now it's only going to use one side of the belt. And it's also very space inefficient. So let's see if we just have you merge in like that, and you go along like that. Then we have our copper belt there and our iron belt there. And these can expand across. Although maybe we can do this even more compact. Yeah. I think if we just take that, twist you around like there, and then you do that, then so that'll take iron and copper and split it across the two things. No, I think this doesn't quite work. So then this belt goes in, and we need to get... Yes, that's not quite perfect. Although I think it's actually closer than it might seem. So if we do that, that, and... No, I think this has to go into the further back one. So does it have to be like that and that? So if we do this, then we have output priority copper there. And then this one would be iron there. So this belt has both iron and copper. Copper goes through there. Iron would get sent out there and then up through there. But then these two belts would need to... I guess we would have them just come in from a bit of a zigzag. So if you go like that, and then you go like that, and then these two extend forwards, and this should be properly tileable. And is there any way we can save more space? I don't think so. So let's blueprint this as a space crusher. And that should be good with just setting different recipes. So I would just need to set those recipes and set the filters differently in order to use the other things. And so then this will give me all the crushers that I need. So that's another useful design to have. What else does this need? So we have a resource processing design, we have an engine design, we need ammunition production and defenses. and we need the ability to do other useful things, I guess, like producing whatever products we need to ship down to planets to support them. So let's do the ammunition production next. So that should be relatively simple. We have electric furnaces and okay, actually we want to make this whole thing actually beacon friendly, because that is hugely useful for space efficiency, which is sort of the entire game here in space. So if you make you 3 and take out that center one and put in a beacon like that, then all the rest of this still works just fine. And let's get our modules in. Yep, you need space in space. Alright, so you get your modules, and then we can re-blueprint this as Space Crusher. Alright, and now we need to get rid of this one and then pop that one in there. We can also get rid of this old one, which is much larger and trying to do too much, I think. Alright, so we have that blueprint. That is all set up. Now we need to do our ammunition production. So you are going to need some beacons and some furnaces. So you just take in a belt of iron ore and you output a belt of iron plates. And let's see here. You have that. Actually, we do want these belts here because we want to make this part tileable as well. So then you get speed modules. You guys get productivity modules because efficiency is useful. Alright, then we need to make actual ammunition off of that. So if we just take you, and you are going to make firearm magazines. So that one of these guys takes 5 per second. Now let's have them beaconed. Alright, can you not productivity module firearm? I could have sworn I'd done that. No, I had just speed moduled them. Okay. That's annoying. I guess we will get those all speed moduled up. And there we are. So now those exist, and these are going to be taking a total of 26.8, which is quite a lot. That's a lot of iron. And I believe we have... Actually, let's just check these guys. So one of these makes 1.4 iron plates per second. Alright, so that's going to need to be a whole different thing, I guess. So yeah, I think we're going to need to just... Actually, wait. I just realized that this isn't perfectly tileable because you need to be doing overlapping stuff. Alright, we're making fixes. So this needs to be speed moduled. Then these belts need to come out to here. And this belt needs to go out to there, and then this would tile properly with the correct alternating beacons. So this is Space Crusher. So then we can blueprint that and it's fine. And then this needs to go there. Get some speed modules. And then the belts go across. Alright, so then we blueprint this. And this is Space Furnace. Alright, so we have that. Then we just need the ammunition production itself. So let's just get a blueprint for that somewhere over here. And we don't need that much of this probably. I guess I'll make it tileable just in case. Alright, so those get speed moduled. Actually, if we can't productivity module these, we might as well just have the speed modules in the machines themselves. So we might as well just do that. So then you are going to be making firearm ammunition. And this is hardly worth blueprinting. Alright, so then that goes there. I set those up spaced incorrectly. Alright, then we have our inserters. And these probably need to be bulk inserters. The outputs should be fine, right? Yeah, outputs should be fine. Alright, so then we can copy paste this as space ammunition. Actually, we unlocked rockets recently, didn't we? So rockets are iron plates and explosives. Rocket turret is a whole bunch of stuff. So if we get iron plates and explosives, how do we craft explosives again? Is that easy? Coal, sulfur, water. It's not terribly difficult, but for now I think the basic ammunition should still just be fine. Alright. So that's most of what we need except for the outer shell, which we would need to set up. So let's do that. Let's get an asteroid collector. And that is going to go there. Then we need a couple of gun turrets, which should be able to just go next to the asteroid collector, probably. Probably should be fine. So we have something like that. Then we need 2 belts going in opposite directions. So we get the gun turrets with ammo, and then the asteroid collector outputs the asteroids. And then we just want this to be set up so that these can be spaced reasonably far from each other without missing any coverage on the asteroids. So we need like one more over here. And like potentially 2 or 3 more over this way. There we go. Alright, so we have that. And let's blueprint it. So this is space platform XT interior. So now we can just tile this everywhere we need to go, and that should be perfectly fine. All right. So this should be all the blueprints we need for this system. If we're just going to Gleba and back, and we want to do that relatively quickly, that should be all the blueprints we need, and now we just have to work out how to connect them in. So we're going to start with the crushing stuff. So we're going to need a couple of these, and we're going to need them to be creating different things. So if we just do something like that, and let's see, if we just clear all that stuff out of the way for now, then we can get a third row of these guys in. That's the wrong one. Hang on. I made this update and I didn't put it in the blueprint book. Alright, so you get removed. You are the one that I want. And I also want you, and you, and you. Alright, so now, if we do this, we just need to get another row of that, clear that out, get another row of that, and now we just need to reset these. So instead of metallic asteroid, you're going to be doing carbonic asteroids, and so then these will all need to be set as well. Carbonic asteroid chunk, and carbon, and sulfur. And then we go up to this one, and you get to be oxide asteroid. So we're going to copy paste you across. And then you are oxide asteroid chunk. And you are ice. And you are calcite. Alright, so that is that. So now all we have to do is connect these outputs out to everywhere they're going, and also we need to get the furnaces in, and we're going to need a lot of them. So let's have the furnaces over on this side, because why not? And we're going to move those solar panels out of the way for now. Alright, so if we just have this start like down here and then scale up this way a bit. Okay, now it's all giving me flashing warning lights, which I can prevent by just like sneaking a couple of solar panels in so that they technically have some power. Alright, so these furnaces are going to produce not all that much iron, but hopefully enough. So then let's get a horizontally flipped version of them over here. So that we can get more iron without taking up much vertical space. Alright, so that is all in. So our next step is getting the ammunition in. So you go in like this. I don't know where exactly, but how about up there? And then this is our output belt, which is going to go into that. So then we have our ammunition input belt there. So our next step, now that that's connected up, we need to connect up our iron output, which is this one, into the smelting and into this. So we take the iron output belt, we're gonna split you. Some of you go down that way. Some of you go over this way and then up, and then you're going to need to split again. No, that's not quite right. The splitter needs to be like back there, or up one slightly would be better. So you go across to there, and then down to there. And then that belt goes into there. Alright, so the iron processing is all hooked up to go into the machines. Next, we need to get the calcite and the ice blocks and the carbon down. So this is the calcite because it has to split. So that is this one. And you come down to there. Then we have our ice cubes, which need to sneak through this a little bit, I think. Alright, so then you come down to here, and go across there, and actually you need to also go underground because you need to go to compact for that. So that's the ice cubes in, and finally we need the carbon, which is this one. So you are just going to go up here, across there, and then down and in. Alright, so that should be everything up to that point connected across. Next step is getting... Let's see, what is the next step? We need to get the asteroids connected up. So we need to get the exteriors. Let's see here. Where is that? It's this one. I wonder if I should probably just like change these blueprints images so that they're not just belts. Alright, so if I just... So I need to have somewhere where this stuff goes in and out, which... Let's give some space there, and then flip you horizontally, and put you there. And then we're going to need to get all this stuff connected up, fill in all of those holes. Alright, so that is the exterior. So we have our asteroid belts, which come down this way, and then they're going to merge up, and then they're going to go into all of these inputs one at a time. Meanwhile, our ammunition needs to come up here and do a bit of a split somehow. And how are we doing that? I think it'll be easier to split it preemptively, like back here. So this goes up here, and then flips around into that. Meanwhile, this one can go up here, and then flip around into that. That needs to be swapped around for some reason, as does that needs to get placed in. Alright. So that is the ammunition belts connected in, and the asteroid collectors connected in. Okay, so now what we need is like way more power. So we're just gonna sort of squeeze solar panels in absolutely everywhere we can. Alright, so that apparently we can go there. And then I need to actually, before I finish squeezing in the solar panels, I need to get this belt connected up to all the asteroid inputs. So you just need to have filters for oxide asteroids to go out, not backwards, to go out that way. The rest of the asteroids go forwards. Then we have metallic asteroids go out that way. The rest of the asteroids go forwards. And then the remaining asteroids go out that way. Alright, so what else is this missing? So we need the solar panels to fill in. We also need to make this asteroid processing thing more of a loop. So yeah, what we need is how do we do this? How do we do this? Because I don't know if this is actually enough crushers, especially in the iron, because we're doing all this. So that is like 22 iron plates total to run those. And these are not going to be doing that. So let's think then. We're going to need to expand these. No, I hit all the wrong buttons in a row, as usual. So you guys need to get expanded out. Like this. And think that tiles correctly. So if we just do that, then that will be more iron processing. And it's tough to say how much it'll be in total, but it does work with the beacons. So we've got that going for us. Alright, Gleba still doesn't have glyph explosives. It's never going to get them for quite a while. So then this would add up to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12-ish iron ore. Alright. Now, the other thing we need to worry about is getting all the rest of these things, like the sulfur and the other things which we aren't using. We need to get those either out or doing something useful. So, I don't know if I've left enough space in here. I might need to move this whole thing further over to the right. Alright. Yeah, so we need... The ice production is probably fine. That's like 1.5 ice cubes. Okay, actually no. This wants like 2 ice cubes per second. That wants like 2 ice cubes per second, so we need more of that as well. So we need to expand you out. Like that. And like that. So then that should be more than enough for those. Then the carbon. We have like 2 carbon per second there, and we need almost none. Let's see, we also need 0.4 calcite, which we're going to be producing plenty of that. Okay, so that should be fine then. Now we need to figure out how we're looping the asteroid chunks back, which I guess won't be that hard. So we just need this belt to expand forwards, and this is enough carbon, right, for what we're doing here? Yeah, more than enough. Alright, so that's... Yeah, so that should be solid. So we're just going to take this belt back here. And then you go up there, where you can then merge up with all of these guys. And just keep on going until you merge up with those. And then this belt loops back and into there. Alright, so we have that. We have that all done. And we might want to have the asteroid recycling in here somewhere so that we can flip around what types of asteroids we have in case we have too many of one kind. Yeah, I can see that being a problem which we're going to need to solve. So let's take some... Actually, let's just take some crushers here, and they can just go along in this area. And then they're going to be inputting and outputting from the same belt. And doing something like that. And okay, actually, do we need this many? We just need it to keep it like roughly balanced. We're gonna have to figure out how many of those we need at some point. So what we need is we need to figure out what's most frequent and do that, which is going to be a logic-based thing. Alright, Actually, this might be easier if we do have all of these in, just because it'll make the circuit network stuff simpler. So we just have to enable, disable based on the condition. Alright, so you guys get to be metallic asteroid recycling. You get to be carbon asteroid recycling. You guys get to be oxide asteroid cycling. Alright, so then we need a selector combinator, I guess. So that goes in there. I don't even know if I've automatically produced selector combinators before. But it's fine. So you are going to output 0 index descending, or how about 0 index ascending, and then you are going to output to these inserters, and then they are going to be enable, disable based on the chunk which is most frequent. So you get the metallic asteroid signal is greater than 0, I guess. And then you would be the same thing for the carbon asteroids. Alright. So that gets set across. And then you would be the same for the oxide asteroids. So then you are all set up. Oh, these need to be greater than 0. Right. So you should all be greater than 0. And then those ones are. So you are disabled by control behavior because we don't have any of those. So this will output the first thing in the list, and so whichever of these is highest. So you get set to hold all belts. So whichever type of asteroid is most frequent in this region, that will be the machines which are enabled. Okay, so let's get you copy pasted into a blueprint. So you will be asteroid reprocessor, and that is another useful blueprint to have. And then what else are we missing? We are missing, well, okay, so first of all, that belt is just going backwards. Let's fix that. And we are missing the ability to remove excess stuff if we don't need it. So we need to deal with that. So the iron, carbon, and calcite we can throw away relatively easily. So we just have to put... Actually, instead of putting it at the end of that, yeah, let's just have these... So let's have you go in, output priority right, and then the left can loop around and then make a dash for the nearest void, and the sulfur, which isn't being used, can do the same thing. And then this does the same thing. So you are output priority right. And then that needs to be an underground belt, while this goes down to there. And then the carbon, which isn't being used, is gonna have to do the same thing. And let's hope that a single belt will be enough for all of the trash we produce. So, next we have our calcite. So you get output priority right. This belt needs to go underground. And then you connect down to there. The ice cubes are gonna need to do something clever. They're gonna need to like curve up, output priority left, and then this can come down and then into that. Alright, so that should be all of the potential excess outputs from that entire thing going off into the void. And let's just get a second row of you so that we can make sure that we have enough of that. And then let's see, how is this gonna work? Yeah, this should be fine. So what are we missing now? We're missing, obviously, some of this stuff still needs to get constructed. But in terms of the designs, we are probably doing okay. So we need to fill out our external shell. And that is going to involve getting you placed. And then you go like that. And we just sort of place this along. And then you go like that. And that is not quite going to be covering everything. So we just need you to go into there so that the gun turrets can cover the complete loop. Now let's take this one and get it going in the other way. Like this. And then down to there. And then they loop in like this. And like that. Alright. So, now we have that. And that is going to take forever to actually properly construct, and we're probably going to need to fill in more gaps like that. And like that. Alright. And then this technically doesn't close, so I think it's fine. And we just need to get you connected up across the corners. And then we can use this extra space around the edges for our solar panels. How does this rotate? This rotates like that. And then like that. And that goes like that. And like that. Alright. So now we have all that. We can now just start spamming even more solar panels. So let's just fill in. I think it actually might be important that we not fill in this entire area so that it doesn't become a giant donut, which we need to close. But if we just put a whole bunch of solar panels in, then that should provide us with the power that we need once this whole giant thing gets built. So yeah, I think we need to make sure that we don't have any... I think we need to make sure that, like, that exists so that this is all legal. And then we're probably going to need to put more solar panels elsewhere. Okay, so this... How is this going back on Novice? Are we still successfully launching these guys every so often? We're still low on low density structures, but we are still producing them. So one of the goals, aside from just getting the Gleba transport set up, which is obviously our immediate goal, our next goal is going to be to make space platforms, make more space platform stuff. So like being able to manufacture low density structures and other similar things in space would be very convenient for getting our launching ability set up quickly. Okay, so we still have drones that try to fly over this area, which is infested with biters. And we still haven't gotten Vulcanus set up properly to provide us with ammunition yet. So that is a bit of an issue. Launching up some more of those. How is this going on down here? We still have plenty of foundations, so that's not an issue. Yeah, I think the low density structures being the limiting factor seems like it's going to continue to be true for the foreseeable future. And in terms of ways to improve that, we would need to improve the plastic and the steel plates and potentially the copper a little bit. So I guess let's just look, see if there's anything we can do real quick for the plastic. No, so these guys are fluid ingredient short, so speed modulating them isn't going to help any. These guys are fluid ingredient short. Well, let's get them... Let's get their productivity modules upgraded at least. And yours as well. And all of yours. So hopefully that will help. And is the fluid ingredient shortage down from the very beginning, or is it starting at the oil refinery stage? So we haven't got enough heavy oil processing. I guess it's pretty much all just going through this one machine. So if we just find a beacon for you and speed module that, then that will be dramatically improved for that, which will then open up the space to get beacons on these oil refineries. Alright, there we go. So now that takes 32 heavy oil residue into light oil, which is much more than this can produce. So now, if we just get a beacon there with speed modules, and let's see, is there any way... I think if we have that pipe go underground and we remove that power pole, which I don't think is necessary for anything. We can squeeze a beacon in over there, which can accelerate that. Alright, so now that is all going to be going a lot faster, which should help with the plastic production. So now we can throw beacons on those two. Like so. And get that going even faster if it's possible. Alright, what are we losing? We're still just losing the occasional laser turret over in this corner. Okay, so this area probably just needs more defense. Get a whole bunch of you guys in. And there we are. So that we can zap those guys a little bit faster. Oh, and apparently that has some ammunition that never got powered up, so we can fire away at a couple of the biters. That'll be fun. Alright, so we don't have enough artillery ammunition to do this for long, but we can get at least the closest bit off of our backs. Okay, now we can look back up to here where we are indeed getting more plastic throughput. And the steel does seem to be comfortably making it past these. So what can I even do to improve this? If I replace you with another beacon, that would do something, I guess. But honestly, not even that much. I think we just need to make low-density structures in orbit at some point. Alright, so Gleba support is still getting built bit by bit. We need 2,000 space platform foundations for this. And that's with it being, like, mostly empty space. So that's a little bit concerning. So that is gonna take a long time, probably. It'd be a lot quicker if we could make more low-density structures. Now this row down here is where we are making them. But if we can just get another spot just like over here, we can add a couple extra in this row, probably. If we send you underground to open the space. Alright, no, those are just still barely too cramped. We need you to go there, you go there, you go there, you go there. Okay, now we get speed modules in there. Low density structures in there. Productivity modules in there. And then we need to get them inputting. So you get those. And those. And that whole thing gets powered. And then we just need to get the plastic belt to come over this way. Alright, this stone belt needs to... This poor stone belt has just been constantly in the way of everything at all times. Alright, so that all goes back. And then these connect in like that. So then the plastic just has to go along here. And then that should... Let's see, if we disconnect that and just have you go across to there, then this lets that come out and bring plastic down to that. Alright, so now we have this. These guys will then output and into a passive provider chest. So out to there, out to there, out to there. We're just going to need that belt to be finished. Alright, so some of these are starting now, which means we are getting a couple extra low density structures out there. But the plastic supply still is not nearly enough. Copper looks like it's potentially fine. Yeah, copper looks like it's fine-ish, at least in the short term. Plastic is insufficient, but at least that'll help it a little bit. Okay, wait, how is that? Oh, I see. Okay, so that donut there has to get out, basically. Man, the rules for this are really weird. It resulted in somewhat unusual designs. So that should be able to output into that little hole there, because that hole can get out to outer space. I don't think we've... Yeah, I think we need to make selector combinators. I don't think we ever did that. Where do we make the other types of combinators? Yeah, we've got these two guys here. Alright, let's just get you, and you can make selector combinators and take from a requester chest. And if I just do that, have you set requests, have you read ingredients, and then you get powered up, that should give us some selector combinators. And we're just going to limit that to a couple stacks. And get power poles everywhere. I'm used to building in space where you don't need to build power poles everywhere. Alright, would someone come and put that power pole in? There we go. So now we have some of those. Now we have some of those. Rockets are launching. And this is producing some number of low-density structures. So we are getting there slowly but surely. And theoretically, how much power is this all going to take? Probably going to need a lot more solar panels. So let's look at the grid. We're making 3.8 megawatts, and we need 73 megawatts of demand. And where is that demand coming from? Is it going to be the machines? Probably. Yeah, all these heavily beaconed up machines. Okay, is there... Can heating towers be doing something? Yeah, so we can't use heating towers in space. So solar panels are, I believe, just the only way of generating power up here. Unless these guys... No, these guys are all have that same problem. So yeah, we might even need to swap to efficiency modules just to reduce power demands. Although, let's see. I mean, we are going to be adding a lot of solar panels on. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have 21 solar panels currently. And we're going to be adding in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to be adding in another 99 solar panels. Which, I wish it were more. I wish it were more. But we might as well squeeze in just everywhere there's space for them. Because we're probably going to need it. So that area has space for some solar panels. And we have more room for more solar panels if we can get the foundation for them. But I'm not sure that that's going to be a quick process. So these guys are... Okay, it's actually looking better theoretically. Some of these guys are getting pretty high up there. And the demand seems to be lowering a little bit. I'm not sure how that's happened. But it is the case. Alright, so the solar panels are going to be going in. How many of these? We only have 2 more solar panels up here right now. So we're going to need more solar panel deliveries in addition to more foundation deliveries. These guys are short on copper wire. Because of course they are. But is there much that I can do about that? Not really. This whole factory is incredibly cursed. We are still producing at a decent rate. So hopefully that will keep up. And then my next platform after this one gets agricultural science done. My next platform is going to be to just figure out how to like automate a lot of the space related things. So I would like to just have a platform in orbit around Novice that just produces like low density structures and platform foundations and all that sort of stuff, so that we can get launches going faster to build more things faster. And hopefully we can sort of bootstrap ourselves from there. Alright, power demands are still 70-ish. Beacon demand is the biggest part of that, because the machines can't run because they aren't getting any inputs. Now, I would have thought at some point one of these guys... How much power do they need? How much power do these guys need to actually grab an asteroid chunk? Is the question I'm curious about. It seems like it's a fair amount. Alright, there's more belts, and there's more foundations. So we're getting more solar panels built, and now we are short on solar panels, among other things. Alright, so more foundations are being built. Once our next solar panel delivery shows up, we'll be able to do a lot with that. Yeah, turns out getting this stuff set up when you don't have great ability to launch into space is quite difficult. And yeah, plastic remains the limiting factor for that, and remains the limiting factor for the entire thing. So let's see if I can get more plastic production. These guys are still working, and there's actually a coal shortage now. Right, so this is exactly what I was worried about. So we are running short on coal on Novice, as well as we've already run out on Vulcanus. So I can squeeze like 2 more mining drills in there, I guess. And get them powered. But that is very much not an ideal fix. So where do we find more coal? We can get some out here. Or we could get a space platform. Because now we have... Let's see, where's that chemical plant that we had? We have some chemical plants. If we get you in there, you can make coal from sulfur, carbon, and water, which is all stuff we can dump down from a space platform. So that is going to be... Maybe we even should have been doing that before setting up this one. Although this is sort of like the baseline for what we need to be functional. Like, we can get all the different resources, we can move around, and we can defend ourselves, and not much more. Alright. Yeah, we might need to just retrofit this into something capable of producing coal. So we have our carbon and our sulfur here, and they go out there. Yeah, the way I've designed this, I have not really left myself that much space. How's power doing? You'd expect with all these extra solar panels... Alright, we're doing better, I guess. Still wouldn't say we're doing amazingly. So the beacons seem to be like the main culprit for the extreme power demand. But really just everything is expensive. Okay, yeah, the beacon crushers are insane. Alright, do these need to be productivity moduled? Maybe not. Let's go back down to Novice. I think we've never actually made efficiency modules. And we don't really have spare red circuits for it. But we do have... Yeah, we're actually low on speed modules now as well. So you're not getting any speed module 1s because you're producing all of those. So what is hurting the red circuit so much? Plastic shortage. That makes sense. We did divert like half of our plastic away from there. And the plastic has actually both coal and petroleum gas shortages. That's not ideal at all. Okay. So, we need to go up here. And we need to either make coal or just deposit the carbon and sulfur down onto the planet and then have that sort itself out. Okay, let's... Because the power is such an issue, I think we're going to try to limit that. So, we are going to need to take the carbon and sulfur and get it in to the platform hub, which seems like it's going to be quite the challenge. You can take out some of these solar panels to have extra space. Alright, so extra carbon, we want to actually just go through this. So we need the extra carbon to go out here, and then another bit. Actually, no, we don't need to do that off of the extra carbon belt. We can have that still be the extra carbon belt, and we can just take the carbon off of this. So you get output priority left, and you can then import into that with a combinator. Actually, we don't even need a combinator, we can just do this directly. So you are going to read contents. You are going to enable disable if carbon, where's that? Where are you? There you are. So if carbon is less than 300, no, we don't, we can have this be smaller. Let's have carbon is less than 200. You disable. So that should get carbon down. Then we just need to branch the sulfur off. So you get a splitter with output priority right. So then this is going to go out there, and then any extra sulfur does that. So then that goes up to there, and you get connected up, and enable disable if sulfur less than 200. I don't know about the exact numbers, but something like that. So once we have this set up better, then we'll be able to just deposit carbon and sulfur down, and then once we're down on novice, we just need to, let's see here, we need to go somewhere where we have water and access to a coal belt, which is there a water pipe all the way up here? No, there isn't. But there is one over here. So I can just bring this over. And you're probably going to need a pump. So let's get that in. And then our water pipe can go along And through that random tree. Do I not have auto-crafted pumps? Apparently I don't have auto-crafted pumps. Okay, and also, why am I doing this straight through that? Okay, I just dismantled something I don't want to dismantle. You need to go back. It's all of these pipes which need to go. So this, instead of going over that way and causing problems, you are gonna go up through here, where you can be nice and out of the way. And then we just have to run this over in this area, I guess, is where we'll do this. So we need a chemical plant, and we're going to need a couple of these. Okay, not there. So we have a couple of chemical plants, and we're probably going to replace some of these guys with beacons. So those get pasted across, and they have the water. Now we need the coal and the sulfur, which can go in that way, but not all the way, or else it'll mess with things on that other belt. Alright, so we just do that, and then we output coal to there, and then this whole thing gets powered up. And now we just need a couple of requester chests to get the coal and the sulfur on opposite sides of the belt. So we just need you, and you can request carbon, and quite a lot of it. You can request sulfur, and quite a lot of it. And then we get those inserting onto the belt. And then this belt just goes through here, around that, and onto the coal. Alright, so that is that. And we just need to actually get those in, which should happen just from the cargo landing pad. So yeah, actually, we just got some now. That's exciting. So this is partially running. And obviously it's going to be doing all of this. And we are occasionally, very slowly, reaching out to grab some asteroids. So how's the power grid looking now? Right now, at this exact moment, the power grid is stable most of the time. But it occasionally fluctuates above what we can manage. And that's fine. So now we need to figure out how to get the sulfur to only land when we want it to. So if we go back to Novice... Oh, I see. That... Wait. Is this actually brilliant? I think this... So if we just add, like, 200 sulfur onto there. And this will request 200 sulfur. And... oh, we need to do the same thing for carbon as well. So let's request like 200 carbon and see how well that works out for us. So the solar panels are continuing to get built, as is the outer shell. So we're getting ice into this. Okay. The power is still incredibly scuffed. But it is, like, almost working a lot of the time. It's not perfect by any means, but some stuff is happening. Some stuff is happening, and we still have more solar panels to go before this main block is done. And then we can fit more around the rest of the edges. And we are providing sulfur. Don't see... probably also providing carbon. Right, so the carbon has to back up all of this before it can be sent out. So that'll be a bit of a delay. Iron also making a whole lot of ammo, and it's going to take absolutely ages for that to work. Because we have a lot of ammo to produce. But if we look on the ammo belts, some of these machines, some of these turrets do have ammunition in them. Alright, so it seems like it is starting to work out. And how is satisfaction yet? So now we actually have a bit of a buffer, although it's still not exactly running at full speed. It's not exactly running at full speed, but we do have a bit of a power buffer as is. So we need to get the rest of this outer ring set up so that we can get all these other various asteroids, and then we'll see how much this actually produces in terms of supply when it's just sitting here doing nothing. It looks like it's not terrible. I mean, the iron is doing something. And the carbon is almost backed all the way up. Alright, power is showing up. So yeah, the beacons are just a big flat cost, basically. We're almost done with them. We are missing that pump. So we need to automatically craft some pumps on Novice. So let's... honestly, let's just get this blueprinted. So you are going to be circuit network. You can't set settings while it's not connected, so I guess we'll do that. You will be read ingredients. You will be set requests. So this is a drone crafter. And now we have that blueprint. We won't need it for now. So you get set up. And you can make pumps. I forgot to put the output box in, but that's fine. We can just do that real quick. Alright, so that is set up. And now we have pumps So we should be able to make some coal now that that pump can go in. And yeah, there we go. There is a little bit of coal output. So it's not much, but it's a start. And I think I'm going to want to do that processing on the space platform eventually. Just so that I don't have to cram it all in here on the planet. Alright, so this, we're making good progress on the platform construction. So this whole block of solar panels is in, and the power is looking, honestly, still looking a little bit sketch. Just because of how erratic it is. But yeah, we are sending off some stuff so that this technically functions as a support. And if we were doing this fully as a support, then we would have to work a bit harder to get just not have all this wasted stuff and just have as much output as possible. But for what it is, this is pretty good. And we need... How much does this launch? This launches in stacks of 50. Yeah, that's terribly slow. Alright, so this has enough sulfur. It needs so much more carbon. And also, apparently the power grid has failed down here as well. So that's not great. That's not great news. Let's get a couple more of these. And make sure they're placed properly. Okay, I don't know why this seems like it doesn't align correctly, but whatever, we're just gonna get those in. So the drones can start working on that, and then hopefully that doesn't provoke these biters to do anything. And then the other thing which we can do is, we have a lot of spare rocket fuel, right? Actually, not a huge amount actually, but probably enough. Alright, so let's have this go up, and I guess we should build it first. So we want a heating tower. Let's see, is this actually enough space for this? Let's take this across these tracks. So you go up there. And let's just get in. This worked quite well for Gleba. A couple of heating towers. And do we have our water pipe in this area? We've got it, right? Yes, we do. We have a water pipe just down there. So we have those, and then they heat pipe across, and apparently Novice is short on cliff explosives, which is unsurprising. So then we get our heat exchangers in, and how many of these are there? These are, so we have 120 megawatts of heat output there, which means we can manage 12 of these. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have those, and then behind them, each of those gets steam turbines. Oh, these need to be rotated. So the steam output needs to be facing upwards so that I can reach it. And then the steam turbines go in, and these are approximately 2 to 1, more or less. So let's get all these guys placed in. And just keep going. And then we get the second row in up here. And then we get our pipes going across. And our power poles going down the center. So then those power poles connect up to that. And gosh, do we need to move this so that our new steam engines get priority? We do use a lot of rocket fuel for all sorts of things. Okay, so let's just get this entirely set up, and then we'll figure out what the rocket fuel situation actually looks like. So I think if we just take you out through there, and then let's see, we need to run you overground a little bit so that the underground pipes can reach across. Like that. And then the pipe just goes in. And the extent is nowhere near enough to be a problem. So then we run the heat pipe all the way across. And finally, we get you guys powered up. So this should be a reasonable power source. Nothing too fancy, but should be functional. Unless we don't have enough rocket fuel, which seems likely at this point, based on how much this is getting produced. Alright, so how much rocket fuel are we making? We are making 0.4, 0.6, 0.7-ish, 0.72, maybe somewhere around those range. And probably most of that is going to be going into that. So we have these. This one is working. And this one is occasionally working. But they're not getting that much output. So, how do we make this go faster? We have plenty of light oil. We seem like we have plenty of this. We have plenty of light oil, we have plenty of solid fuel. So let's make these guys go faster. Maybe just a little bit. So let's see how much that does in terms of boosting our rocket fuel production. Although it seems like we've suddenly started running out of rocket fuel. Like this is much lower reserves than we had previously. So we've only increased rocket fuel production pretty marginally in here. And it's tough to say. Not much is getting past this. Okay, let's limit you to what you have. And hopefully that will help this work properly. So this should be a decent chunk of power. It's not going to be anything too crazy, but it's not going to completely replace our solar panels all by itself. But it should be pretty decent. And it does look like this is maybe powering all of these with some room to spare. Although we haven't drawn any rocket fuel out of the box for a while. Which actually is a good sign. So this is fully set up. So we have everything in here, except for some of the modules. And I don't know why production is so jaggedy. Oh, because they don't overproduce. That makes sense. So we do occasionally have big spikes, which, I don't know. Do we even want accumulators up here to just deal with the spikes, or is it going to be more worthwhile to not do that? I think it should probably be fine with just the solar panels, although we're going to probably want more solar panels. So let's get this stuff all in. You don't want to be like that. You want to be like that. And in like that. And then we can fill in this area with solar panels. Because we might as well. Alright, it's a bit scuffed, but whatever. And we can add a whole giant row of solar panels up that way and down that way. Because we're going to need more power for when this is producing at 100%. So let's just get all those in. And then back down to novice. We've got this. It's all set up and going. And it's got plenty of fuel. So, I guess we just have to check what happens during nighttime to see if this runs any. Because during daytime, the solar panels are covering everything. And right now we actually have a bit of a reprieve from this being demanded constantly. So we can build some rockets. Actually, no, because we just set up a whole bunch of additional requests. So yeah, you're going to continue requesting modules. And plastic supply is still terrible. Still completely unacceptably low. But at least the coal supply is actually doing noticeably better. Not sure how much is this and how much is just other things not demanding it as much. But that's something, at least. Alright, so these biters happen to just barely be out of range, so that's convenient for me. But they are not happy. They are not happy at all. Okay, so back up to here. Power production is still still taking a while to get upgraded. Need another 500 some of those, which back down on Novice. How is that functioning? These guys are still trying to get set up. Okay, now actually we've swapped around to being low on blue circuits, presumably because the red circuit supply is so awful. So that is fine, I suppose. So the red circuits also require plastic, and the plastic also requires to be down here, and we need more petroleum gas. So we have plenty of light oil now, almost no heavy oil, almost no petroleum gas. So if we have so much light oil, then what we need is we need to take those guys out and beacon them. Alright, so you get beacons, which will help you produce your petroleum faster. There we go. These actually already have a speed module in them, so they should be extra quick in theory. I'm not sure why this only got one delivered. Alright, so these guys make like 30-ish each. I can connect that pipe up so that this guy can run as well, and not just to make solid fuel. Alright, so all of these are going. Petroleum gas production has increased. That's like 40 some, which is apparently not all that much, but we also have another decent chunk from over here. Alright. Yeah, I don't know how to increase this super easily. It just sort of needs to get better. Now, is the blue circuit production going at all? Yes, we are getting some red circuits here, but not all that many. Actually, looks like it's enough to run most of these permanently. It looks like it's just the last one which is struggling. So it's actually not that bad in terms of the blue circuit production. So that's fine. Get more of you launched. And yeah, so the carbon supply from orbit is nowhere near enough, which is entirely unsurprising, considering we specifically made that less efficient to make the sulfur possible. Okay, so we have iron. That goes down to there. This goes up to here. Eventually, we'll have a whole lot of ammo stockpiles. It's getting there slowly but surely. Okay, something horrible is happening on Novice. Down in this corner. Okay, we need to just get more annoying walls in here. Shout out to the annoying wall blueprint. Best blueprint ever. Wish it were a bit bigger, though. So we just sort of pop this in everywhere, and then cover in that area as well. And that should help fortify that corner. So there we go. They all do a nice little fake out before returning to recharge. Thank you, drones. Very normal. Okay, this research isn't going. Let's get something going. Let's have you move to the back so we can do some researches while we are not bothering to manually do the agricultural science back and forth constantly. Okay, so carbon is still getting there. Ammunition is doing well. We have a couple more solar panels in here. And do we even want to just like send some accumulators up? Probably not. Probably accumulators are unnecessary. Really what we need is we need the ammunition supply to make it all the way around so that we have that going. Where are we now we're like steadily losing these guys. Where's that? Over this. Why are you even over there? You're trying to take the world's craziest shortcut, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Oh, speaking of Gleba, actually, I should check to make sure nothing is sneaking up on me here. Okay, it looks like they might be over there, but hopefully not. Hopefully that's just not going to be an issue. Don't exactly have great defenses on Gleba. Alright, so how is this going? It's still slowly producing iron to get the ammunition, and it is not the worst rate ever. It's not very quick, but it could be so much worse when it's just stationary here like this. So we're still waiting on foundations and a couple of solar panels and some modules. We have most of the things we need. Yeah, so once this gets wrapped around so that the entire front is covered, and that's going to take a lot longer on the right side because this isn't exactly symmetrical. But once we do that, then we'll be able to have that go out. Okay, you actually are reaching maxed out, which is pretty cool. So apparently our efforts to improve plastic have succeeded. And now we have a decent amount of red circuits going out. So that should get this whole thing done relatively quickly now. We're low on space platform foundations. We're going to need to wait a while before we can have these guys go again. Before we can start like making another giant space platform. So that's unfortunate. In fact, this one might even... Yeah, so we don't have enough on planet to finish this entire blueprint, which is annoying. Alright, so this is doing its thing. How much iron does it take to make all this ammo? Apparently a ton. It's a good thing I didn't go for anything fancier with like explosives or anything. That would have actually just taken ages. Alright, so solar coverage is good. Production is technically sufficient while most of this stuff isn't running. It's gonna be pretty dicey if this has to... If if this is moving. But hopefully all these extra solar panels should account for that. Okay, the biters are attacking through here. And it looks like the defenses here are a little bit sketch. Let's get the walls built out to be a little bit more dense. Like that. And then make this triple walled, because we absolutely cannot afford the biters to get through here. This is all of our space stuff. Alright, there's even more carbon. So yeah, we're not sending down all of the sulfur we have, because we don't need more sulfur down there. We are sending down carbon as fast as we can get it, though. Alright, that goes out. Actually, we did just send out a little bit more sulfur. Alright, so this side of the ammunition is almost back to the splitter. This side has quite a ways to go. We just need to have that nice ammunition backlog in order to safely move. And theoretically, I guess we could like leave and then immediately return just to get a couple larger asteroids to spawn to get more chunks. That's an option. You know what? Let's try it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Alright. You go to Gleba, get moving a little bit, and once the asteroids start spawning, we're gonna leave. We're just gonna stop and drift back. Alright. We're moving now. We actually go very fast in this with 3 engines. Okay, so yeah, there's one medium asteroid. There's another medium asteroid. Alright, so they're definitely starting to spawn better now. And okay, at this point, I think that's enough. Back to Novice we go. So we should get tons of stuff from this. And that should help us just produce the ammunition fast enough. Yeah, so the asteroid chunks are going along. And now all of these are running, but now we're hitting low power continually and by a lot. Jeez, okay. Yeah, we're going to need the efficiency modules up here then. We're gonna need efficiency modules in order to get this whole thing powered, because we're not even close. We do not have the additional space necessary for this. Okay, Novice just lost 2. Okay, that's down at this corner. Okay, that's probably fine. Let's just make that wall thicker and get rid of those walls so that we can put a couple more laser turrets in them. And then we can get some of these guys in. So if we just have them spaced something like that. hopefully that will do the trick. Although apparently we need our drone port to be further up for those to get placed properly. So let's do that. And so this, we are gonna have you just go back to novice now. So yeah, now that did succeed at producing a lot of ammunition pretty quickly. And we're gonna get a bit more on the way back. So there we go. And power demand is very, very high when everything is actually possibly running. So let's grab all of those. That sure is a nice solid supply of asteroids, though. Alright, so now we're back. Nice and safe. And that should be that. Our sulfur has started backlogging. And the carbon is still doing its thing. Alright, so back to novice. Where we need to... There was something I needed to do back here. Right, I need to make efficiency modules. That's what it was. Alright, so let's get you copy and pasted, and then we are going to change you to Tier 1 efficiency modules. And then let's paste you again and change you to Tier 2 efficiency modules. So that should get us something. And that should help us get our space platforms powered up. Alright, so those are going. Down here we are desperately low on those. Is there anywhere else where we conveniently have wire and steel? Yes, up here maybe? Can we fit a machine in? Alright, this might be a bit cursed, but let's see if it works. So if you just go like that, and we put a machine in, and you are going to be taking from both of those, and outputting to a box, which can store a decent amount. So now you just make space platform foundations. And yes, this does actually work. So we can speed module you, because you can't be productivity moduled. And then that will probably cause all sorts of chaos in our wire supply. But we do have a decent amount of wire, so hopefully it'll be okay. So we get another one of those going. And now that is good to go. We do have steam turbines running, producing, what, 140-ish max during the nighttime. So that is quite useful to help take the edge off of that. And then, what's downstream of that wire? like all of this stuff. So we're going to have a bit of trouble producing that in the future, but hopefully... Yeah, so now we're just at the point where all the wire is getting eaten up back here by this guy. So that has very much not fixed the problem, but at least we have some more of that stuff. So we only need 81 more foundations. So we're almost done with this. And then it's going to be a question of the efficiency modules, which we have 3 of now. Alright, doing some random researches. Then we can go up here, and in terms of power demand, the biggest is the crushers and the beacons. Now the beacons, I don't think there's much we can do about, but the crushers and the electric furnaces. Yeah, so crushers and electric furnaces are big. So let's make you efficient, and that should drop energy consumption off a cliff. Why are you... Oh, you're all set up wrong. Okay, well, I didn't copy-paste the recipes across to you. Let's make sure to do that. And then keep getting those guys. Alright, efficiency modules going in. And we don't have all of these, but hopefully we'll get some, and then that'll happen over time. So you are requesting efficiency modules. They stack up to 50, so we need to get that many for them to do anything. Alright, then if we go up to this area, green circuit supplies are fine. Red circuit supplies are actually also fine. We have thousands of these in there. I'm not sure how that happened all of a sudden, but I guess I'm not going to complain. And then blue circuits are down here, and I could have sworn I had a thing importing red circuits in here. No, apparently I just had green. All right, well let's get the red circuits in. So you can have like 600 of those at any given time, and then you get powered up, and that should have the blue circuit production running nice and quick. Unless it's going to take a little bit for those to get delivered down, but here they are. And now we can potentially even speed module some of these guys some more. Alright, so that is now all filled up with red circuits. So let's take that out, move its output belt, and replace it with some speed modules. There we go. So now these guys can go faster and actually produce a relevant amount. So there we are. And we just need the modules themselves to actually show up, which could take a while, depending on how many we have. Yeah, we have 26 to spare up here. we've got all the ingredients we need. Except for copper wire, apparently. So what's up with the copper wire? It's just doing its thing. And it's more or less capped out that belt. So do I have... I should have some extra speed belts here, right? If I just... I don't have many, but I'm fairly certain I have some. So we can go like that, and then get that upgraded as well. And that should allow us to get the copper wire going a lot faster. Or at least a little bit faster. And there we are. So by the time it gets past these first two machines, obviously it's mostly going to be gone, and the ability to cap out the entire belt is no longer really necessary. But that is that. Okay, now, speaking of copper wire, we've got these guys down here, and they are not especially quick. Yeah, this entire thing is why I didn't like this. Alright, Gleba support has some problems. Okay, so those can be solved just by filling in that little hole. So now all of those solar panels can go in. And have you got any efficiency modules yet? Still only a couple available on planet. Alright, so ammunition is all backlogged successfully. Which means if it weren't for the power problems, we could just go out for setting this up for a trip now. But we do have power problems, so I don't know if that's a great idea. I really want to get these modules up first, which I guess we can... Is there anything we can do to speed this up more? Yes, so these guys are... They're doing that. We need to just give you like a proper stack of these. Stack of those, and then a stack of those. So you should now have plenty of that stuff being delivered, and you need to do the same. So you get a stack each of green and red circuits. And then, once that is in, you guys can be speed moduled. So there we go. Processing unit production still the limiting factor, annoyingly. And that's just simply the production. All the inputs are fine. It's just not a fast line. Alright. Do I have sulfuric acid up here where I can do this at a larger scale? No. Don't seem to have that anywhere close. Okay. That's a shame. I would really, really love to get that going. Alright, so this is... We have plenty of rockets ready to launch. We just don't have anything to put in them. So hopefully that gets done quickly. Because we are just sort of sitting here doing not much at the moment. Alright, we do have enough processing units in there. And this should be running fast enough to keep this fully supplied. So that is good. Because this is making 0.18 per second. Oh wait, no, actually we need another one of these, apparently. So if we just copy paste you, now at the cost of more of our precious speed modules, this should get efficiency module production up and running. So there we go. And here come all the drones to get that set up. So now, assuming this had enough processing units, this would be producing fast enough. And speaking of the speed modules, you are down to 19. So you are just very slow. So let's speed you up, because we might as well. Although the tier 1 speed modules are going to be the limiting factor, so that doesn't really do all that much. So yeah, you are making them at 0.04 per second, which is hilariously slow. This one over here is slightly more than twice as fast, which is neat. Alright, so this is going. Can I just set you to just take what you need? So you are going to want minimum payload of 24. And you are going to want a minimum payload of 14. So that should get this set up and running properly, basically instantly. Because we did have enough on the planet, we just hadn't sent them up. Alright, so that is going. Those rockets should be landing any second now. Yep, there they go. They're launching. And hopefully just making those crushers more efficient will do the trick. These ones up here don't have much energy consumption because they're not moduled at all, because they don't really need to be. These ones down here, I guess, are going to be still pretty expensive, but should be fine. Alright, so now these are electricity consumption minus like 80%, but this is going to be like plus a lot. So hopefully that makes the difference. And let's send you on a test expedition to Gleba. So off you go. And now we get to see how well this works. So you are off. There are asteroids coming in, as usual. We have a whole lot of extra junk that we're throwing away, which is generally a good sign as long as it doesn't get too much. We shouldn't need all that much power to actually get through this trip. Like, it's probably the case that this is a hilariously inefficient design for the relatively simple task I've given it. So in terms of power, we are doing better than we were previously, but still is just the massive demand of all these crushers. And these ones down here being significantly worse definitely isn't helping matters. Alright. But we do have a ton of ammo and a ton of all of this stuff built up. So we should be fine. Although power demand is getting worse. And it's all because of the crushers. Okay, maybe we just don't speed module the crushers. Okay. Now, I guess this backlogging is sort of fine. Okay, so that's not good. This... Yeah, so this is the trash belt, so that's fine to have everything on it, but it's not trashing fast enough. Which is not a great sign. Now, has this taken damage? Yes. One turret somewhere in here took some damage. Apparently. Oh wait, no. A Gleba turret took damage. That's not good. Alright, well I'm gonna have to run over there and fix that real quick. Fortunately, that's the planet that I'm physically on, so I can fix that easily. And let's see here. Turrets. Where are turret crafting? There we are. So we can craft up some of those. And then we have that crafted up. We can put the turret back, which I guess just it did automatically. And then give you some ammo. Now, how did you show up? There shouldn't be that sort of thing shouldn't happen here. Like, these should be totally secure to not do that. So this is set up correctly. I mean, I would be a little bit less surprised if it was happening over here, but it isn't. So that's weird. Okay, meanwhile, Gleba support made it all the way over to here. And the power demand is still going crazy. So that's not ideal. Yeah, we really just need more power. I think the solution is to just take out the beacons. So this is all going to be a whole lot slower, but also dramatically more power efficient. And I don't think raw speed is necessarily super necessary. Alright, so this new configuration, power demands are much lower. Even now, we're still spiking, and that's probably because of the smelters. So yeah, now the electric furnaces have room to do their thing. And hopefully these will also backlog all the way, and they won't need full power. Alright, so you are set up now. And this is all going. Yeah, we're gonna need to scrap this design, unfortunately. It's just not power efficient enough, I think. And at the end of the day, that's kind of like the most important thing. So unless we want to create massive fields of solar panels, we're going to need to come up with something better. There's got to be some other way of producing power that works on the space platform. Like, heat towers can't be built here, right? Yeah, so heating towers can't be built here, so we can't do that. There's got to be some way, but other than just spamming solar panels. But I guess we might just have to spam solar panels. That might just be how that works. Alright, regardless, this is all good. And we are capable of making it to and from Gleba, which really is the important thing at the end of the day. So this... Is this system working? So you are outputting ice. Okay, that's definitely wrong. So now you're outputting that, which is what we need it to be. So we're turning the carbonic asteroids into whatever other types of asteroids we need. Okay, speaking of things which we need to copy-paste across, we need to do those, and those, and those. Alright, so those settings are all good now. And now we should be all set. Why are you not doing anything? Do I have to just dismantle you and rebuild you? Yeah, that happens sometimes for whatever reason. And rebuild. And then set ice cubes. Okay, so now you are broken again. Why? Oh, probably have to do you again as well. Alright, so that is a little bit weird and annoying, but that's all pasted across now, and this is good. So we are taking the carbonic asteroids, converting them to other types, and we don't need to be doing that very quickly, it just needs to sort of be happening in general. Alright, so now that we have all that, all we need to do is we simply need to get this set up to go back and forth. Alright. No, so that's wrong. We don't want you to be leaving just yet. So first, you are going to add a section, and you are going to request agricultural science pack, and like 2,000 of it, probably fine. Yeah, so you're going to get a wait condition until all requests satisfied, or 300 seconds probably. So just give it plenty of time in case it needs it. And then you go back to novice and you go item count, agricultural science pack is greater than 0, and that should be everything, I think. Alright, yeah, that should be that. And then how do we get rid of spoilage? If we just set spoilage to 0, will that just get rid of all of that? Hopefully. Alright. So now you're running. And, okay. Regular science production is also having issues now, apparently. So what is wrong with you? What type of science are you missing? You're missing chemical science. Where is that, and what's the problem? You don't have enough red circuits. Okay, is this whole thing working properly? It seems like this is going in slow-mo. Like, even for Mark 1 belts, that's very slow. Okay, so these guys are short on wire. That's what's happening to them. And we still are doing this up here. And apparently green circuits are getting drained from something that we've set up. Probably all those extra module productions that we built. Yeah, that's probably a limiting factor now. We're going to need to do so much more work to get anything done at all. Alright. A wall was destroyed up there. That's fine, though. It seems to have done its job properly. Okay, so in order to fix the science, we need to fix red circuit production, which needs more copper wire. So how do we get more copper wire out? Obviously, we can't just add more onto here because this is pretty clearly belt speed limited. So what if instead we take this belt of copper, we upgrade you all the way, and then you can go up this way, and let's see, we need more copper, and we need it to input sort of anywhere along there. So we can fit some of that in here. So let's get... all this stuff isn't beaconed, so we can make that more efficient. And actually, can we just... do we have a blueprint in this for just ordinary assemblers anywhere? No. Alright. Well, we're going to do this manually then. Actually, wait, no. We can copy-paste from the green circuit production. So you get copy-pasted. And just have to get you oriented correctly everywhere. So that goes in like that. And I don't know what's going on with all the inserters, but that should be decent. And so then we need to set you to be copper cables. And then these need to actually, they need to go down this way. And then over here. And can we make this fit? Yes, we need to move this plastic belt around a little bit so that you can then come down there, go across there, and then go into there. Alright, so now we can just copy paste that, and okay, is this in danger? Not really. So let's just build the laser wall up this way. We have to hold shift whenever we build anything. Alright, so we can get that. So now that is all lasered up. Now we can expand up this area. Alright, so that just goes like that. And up a couple more of those. And you need to do this so that we can get both sides of the belt used. And please, someone get all this stuff in so that it can start working. I need this belt specifically as top priority, please. There we go. Alright, so that is more copper wire production to the red circuits, which should help quite a lot. Let's expand that out to be blue belts all the way through, just so that we can get more efficiency there. And then we need to have you do this whole thing as usual, so that you use both sides of the belt. And that should be that. Once someone bothers to build all this. And once the drones get around to it, which has apparently taken a while, need that one last belt, then we should have plenty of copper wire through this entire thing. And there we are. Very nice. Okay, so that is going well. Meanwhile, low density structures are nice and backlogged. Let's actually just give them more space. Let's give them more space to back up so that if in the future they become the limiting factor again, we can solve that. Okay, then our blue circuits down here are still going along. I think we need to just... We didn't need to just set up a drone-assisted blue circuit production. So power is still going fine. The steam turbines can apparently handle most of the power during the nighttime. So let's just set up like over here somewhere. And we need that. And we need a beacon, which is there. And then we just sort of get that alternating a little bit. So then you are going to be making processing units. And then we get our modules. So, oh, I hit the wrong button. So you get speed modules. You get productivity modules. Okay, we actually need sulfuric acid. I forgot about that part. So the sulfuric acid is somewhere, probably. It's gotta be somewhere. Here's the sulfuric acid belt, or pipe. So let's run this pipe out and just sort of get it over to our new setup. And here we go. Up this way. Through all that. How does the pipeline extend, by the way? apparently this didn't connect up properly. So let's get that connected. Pipeline extent seems to not be an issue. Alright, so let's bring this the rest of the way. Okay, so that just needs those to get built in, and then it'll be done. Then we take our pipe up this way, and we need to get it set up. So you need to go like that. Then we need our belt with the circuits on it. Then these have to connect across to over here where the pipe goes in. Okay, then we have, actually let's have this go up that way. So then I can bring you down like that, and we can have a couple of these guys. Okay, this needs to be moved slightly so that the chest can line up. Then you just sort of go around there. And now you each get bulk inserters, and you are going to request green circuits, and you are going to request red circuits. And now this whole thing is going to get powered up, and we're going to have an output, and that is going to go into a chest, which actually, let's have that go down this way so that if we want to scale it upwards, we can. Alright, so then we get the power lines in, and now we go and let the drones do their thing. We only have 8 red circuits set to deliver, which means we are still short on red circuits, despite all this. So now it's a plastic problem again. So that's annoying. It's always something, isn't it? So at least we have the rest of this stuff all set up and ready to go. Okay, so Gleba support is... Where is it? Oh, wait, I need to set up Novice to want that stuff? I thought I'd already done that. So you... Where is our box here? So you don't have any of that. So we have no agricultural science currently. We need this to go back. Okay, this... A whole lot of this seems to have jammed. Why is that? Yeah, so that has all jammed because there's just not enough space on these belts for things to output. Alright, that is fine, I suppose. So what we need to do is... How much crafting stuff do we have on here? We have a couple splitters, a couple belts, a couple outputs. So, if we just pop you into there, go output priority left, and then have a belt, and then an inserter. That should keep things moving. Might need a bulk inserter. Let's do that in case it helps a little bit. Alright, so that keeps things moving. And we should be going now. It's gonna take a while for this one inserter to catch up to where we were, but it should get there eventually. And this has somehow still wound up not working either. So we need to reset those again. I don't know why they're having so much trouble. They shouldn't be having problems. They shouldn't be having problems, and yet they are for some reason. So I guess we just have to fix them again. And what's weird is that these guys down here have been having no such problems. Like, they've just been doing fine. Alright, so this is slowly but surely turning all the extra junk out of the belts. And now we are... Are we going back to Gleba again? Oh, I see. We have the weight condition set up wrong. So you need to be set till that's less than 100. And so that should work. And we're going to have a lot of extra spoilage to get rid of here, but that's fine. We have ways of dealing with that back on Novice. And in the meantime, this has been doing perfectly fine in terms of like ammunition and everything, even without quite as much asteroids going through as there realistically should be. Okay, so this is the other thing. I need to set you to input priority left so that this stuff cycles around better. Alright, so now we have that going. And... okay, but then that has also sort of broken things a little bit, maybe. It should be fine now. So now that this is going to be looping permanently, we should be converting stuff into outputs and destroying the outputs, and then that should keep space on these belts. Alright, so that is going now. And why are you... oh, did you successfully drop everything off? Is that what happened? Yes. Alright. Brilliant. You research stack inserters and, I don't know, rocket fuel productivity, I guess. And plastic productivity is actually huge here. Yeah, actually, let's just set that first. So if we can just have 10% more plastic for free, that would certainly be a handy thing to have. Okay, so then we also have the spoilage to deal with. And did we drop off the spoilage here? It doesn't look like we did. Let's see, do you have... yeah, you have a bunch of spoilage in you. Hopefully you'll drop off the spoilage back over at Gleba, and then it'll be fine. And yeah, so this is all being this type because we just don't have as much demand for it. So like 2 productivity moduled machines. Let's actually just remove the modules so that they can run faster. Alright, so that should be fine again. And we might even go all the way to speed module these, because we do need more carbon. Okay. What was our setting for this? It was like less than 200. Let's make that like 600, since we do need a lot of the stuff. So that will be fine. We can do that. And we are once again struggling to output all of the junk, but we are keeping up. Alright, so these crushers are output full, which is pretty bad because that's preventing me from converting things properly. Alright, I have an idea to fix that, if it's necessary to fix it, which it probably is, let's be real. Alright, how do we... Actually, is having this be that better? What if we just do input priority right instead? So now we should have a more or less constant stream of input from fresh asteroids, and then this stuff only does anything if we don't have fresh asteroids. Is that more like what I want? That might be better. Yeah, that might be fine. Alright, so the iron asteroids are backlogging now, which is probably okay. They shouldn't completely backlog. So this does throw away a whole bunch of asteroids, but the alternative would just not have asteroids be picked up, which is kind of like throwing them away. Yeah, that's probably not significant. Alright, so Gleba is deploying a rocket, and it's probably going to be sending up a second one soon. Alright, so that is good. All this stuff is junk which is about to spoil, actually. So that's not great. That's not great at all. I think we might need to set that request up to 3K just in case. And then so that waits for 5 minutes, which, assuming we have reasonably fresh stuff, shouldn't be terrible. And we did get rid of the spoilage. Alright, so back on Novice, how is production going for all the things which we were having issues with? Blue circuits are still being not great. Space platform foundations slowly starting to show up again. Showing up much better up here. And modules are doing module things. We've got 2 stacks of those. And we only need 1 stack each of these. Let's fix that. Alright, so we have plenty of efficiency modules now. Speed modules are up to 50. Let's make sure we store a couple stacks of those since we like using them. Red circuits are going out as fast as they can show up. Blue circuits are... Okay, I'm just dumb and didn't get these connected in. So you get inserters so that this can produce blue circuits. And it's not gonna do all that much because we need more red circuit production. But it'll be something at least. Alright, so that's going. And I think we're pretty much fine now. Alright, so now this is stationary above Gleba. And it's got a whole bunch of science, a lot of which is decaying. Gleba has a rocket, doesn't quite have the science to send more up. Alright, it should be fine. It should work out okay. We might need to clear space out in the rocket, though. So let's send those pipes down. Let's send some chemical plants down, and electric furnaces, and beacons, and gun turrets. Space platform foundations. Definitely don't need extra thrusters. So we just need space in this platform's inventory to move all the stuff that we needed to be moving. And then I think this is probably gonna be relatively successful. So we are converting all this stuff into other types of asteroid, which will keep this running for quite a while at a low rate while stationary. And then when we get new asteroids, we get to use those instead. And yeah, alright, I think we are probably good to go here. So this should just do its thing. Should just go back and forth between Novice and Gleba and keep the science running. So that should be that. So I think we're going to wrap up there for the day. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun. So next time we are going to be returning to Vulcanus. So Vulcanus needs sort of basically this but better. So we need to be able to dump out a huge amount of carbon and to a lesser extent sulfur into Vulcanus so that we can have this whole planet run. We might also just like skip straight to making low density structures in orbit, but I think for now at least just getting large quantities of carbon production in orbit should be our next goal. And so that will be happening on Friday. Tomorrow I will be doing the Satisfactory, where we are continuing to work on our plutonium power plant, although really we've just been doing side quests so that we can get ready to start building it. So that will be tomorrow. Factorio will be back on Friday. So that's that. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, so if you are able to follow, then that would be appreciated so that you know when I'm live. And that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I had a lot of fun.